Join UF Hall of Famer and 14-year NFL vet Shane
Did you ever hear about
Matthews
this NASA doctor that released a 7-second brain trick that makes you super smart? Thousands of people are now doing it and are having insane results and are going from brain fog to having great ideas just come to them, solving issues quickly, becoming rich, and are getting smarter and more powerful than anyone around.
Wherever you listen to your favorite podcast.
Taylor, a mom of two, suddenly started to speak Spanish. She took Spanish in high school, but that was it. But ever since she started doing this 7-second brain trick, everything Taylor learned in high school is...
Good morning. It's a live edition of PodUp with Matthews in the morning from the Crime Prevention Security System Studios, large enough to serve you, small enough to care. We got our good friend Brent Beaird, our college football analyst, here in just a minute. If you missed it last night, Gators win in Tallahassee in softball and extra innings, blow a huge lead in the sixth. Could have ended the game in the seventh with a ground ball to White Chocolate's daughter, Jason Williams' daughter. She boots it. And then they proceed to score 6 runs, tie it up, go into extras, and Kendra Falvey hits a home run, and she's not even a home run hitter, but really good softball team, good game. So they got big series this weekend, as well does baseball. Starts tonight, I think, against Tennessee. Let's go to the Titan MR hotline, and we're joined by, as I said, our college football analyst and Heisman Trophy voter, Brent Beaird, on the Titan MR hotline, courtesy of Comfort Temp. Good morning, Brent. How you doing, bud?
Good to be on with you, Shane. We are in the merry month of May, which is hard to believe, but that gets us closer to the season. Some things to be aware of. Transfer portal has closed. Now, we may see more action in the portal today, but that's simply because there's a paperwork deal that takes a couple of days to complete. And that should probably be done either tomorrow or either today or tomorrow. So the portal is closed again until December. And we are pretty close now to the first preseason magazines. Athlon's and Lindy's and Bill Steele is going to come out July the 4th, I think is what he said. But we'll have more with the portal closing. These guys can now work. They will have rosters to work with, so that will make it easier. Shane, it's a whole lot harder to write a preseason magazine now than it was 5-10 years ago.
Yeah, for sure. I'm getting a bunch of texts here regarding the T-shirt I'm wearing today, Brent.
Yes.
A bunch of texts. Why the Carolina? I got the footprint. It's a great logo, by the way. I got this when my son was up there visiting with Larry Fedora back in like 2016 or whatever. The reason I'm wearing it, folks, is as we stated yesterday, I don't get into world affairs and politics, but I'll be damned if I don't right now. I put this on, if people missed it, at the University of North Carolina, a fraternity, a bunch of frat boys, defended the flag from pro-Hamas radicals. They put their flag up. They immediately tore it down and put back up the American flag. And there is a GoFundMe to throw a party for these frat boys that is over $350,000 right now. John Rich from Big and Rich Country Music Group has agreed to have a concert at this party on their behalf. So it's blowing up. So I had to pull out my old Tar Heel T-shirt today in saluting the frat boys. And I don't know what fraternity it was or if it was multiple fraternities, but good for them. So that's where it is. Okay, so we got a couple of questions here on YouTube. Barone says, Shane, do you think programs should use the transfer portal to acquire proven kickers and punters rather than go after high school players? Many high school kickers don't pan out. Well, I think the transfer portal is hurting high school recruiting, period. Now, we're not talking about the small group of 5 stars, but I think college coaches now are looking into the portal because they can get proven players,
right?
And rather than roll the dice on a high school kid. I mean, you still want to build your program with high school kids, but from a kicker and a punter, yeah, I think it's unless you have a stud that you know is going to make some kicks. I think you do that. Brent, do you know how many people right offhand are in the transfer portal?
I don't. I'll be glad to look that up. But there are still a bigger percentage, obviously, that remain in the portal. See, the problem with the portal too is you have a lot of red shirts and freshmen who get in the portal thinking that they're going to make $1 million and they're going to play right away, and that's not the case. Now, to the point you made a minute ago, one thing that we shared a few weeks ago from Florida State, and Mike Norvell mentioned this, and a lot of people probably thought it would be the other way around. Norvell said that their roster is basically 65 to 70% from high school players. In other words, normal recruiting, and the rest of it's from the portal. When he has been the king of the portals, and he's done a really good job with it. But it's still important to mention that's how you build your program. I mean, really, the best way to build your program is through the normal recruiting through the high school ranks and cherry picking guys to come in and help you with needs. That's what we've seen on the most successful programs have done.
Brian's question for you, Brent, on Facebook Live, brought to you by Mel Law, says, Brent, do you think because of NIL, college athletics should remove its amateur status?
Well, whether they actually remove it or not officially, that's basically
it's been removed.
Been done. Yes, yeah. So look, you'll never have the NCAA come out and say there are better models than what we've got, and amateurism is not what it used to be. That they are never going to say that. But yes, from Shane and I, you can take it to the bank that that's already happened.
A couple of things before we move on here regarding the transfer portal. This is regarding a former, I think, a quarterback that was verbally committed to the Gators. I want to say when Dan Mullen and those guys were here. Remember the guy, Nick Evers? He was committed here. I think his mom was very involved in all this tweeting and stuff. Well, he ended up signing with Oklahoma. Well, then he transferred from Oklahoma to Wisconsin.
Yeah.
He is now transferred and committed to UConn. And he ain't going there to play basketball, but UConn stinks in football.
No, they do.
So he was a top 140 overall recruit in America, one of the top quarterbacks. I mean, that just goes to show you, man.
Yes.
You know, recruiting is not an exact science.
It's not.
But if people miss that, he's gone from verbally committing to Florida to going to Oklahoma for a year, then transferring to Wisconsin for a year, and now he's going to UConn. He's never played at either one of those other places, by the way.
But see, here's the issue, and I'll be real brief about this. How do you make progress toward the degree? See, that's
nobody cares anymore, Brent.
No, and I get that. But the problem is some of these guys are really hurting themselves because, believe it or not, that's still important. So, and particularly as far as getting into schools and so forth. So, and I won't go into that anymore, but that's a side of it that we completely almost ignore.
Well, like I've said multiple times on here, ain't nobody getting suspended for missing class or GPA anymore.
No.
That's kind of been thrown under the table, so to speak. You know, but you're right. And if you look, there was only 250 something players drafted the other day.
Yes.
There's probably another 300 or 400 that sign as free agents.
Right.
But there's only about 2% or 1% of them that's going to do this for a living. And so, as you mentioned, you better find a job.
Yes.
Yeah. So real quick, I saw this too. I thought this was very interesting. The mighty Georgia Bulldogs, right? Tremendous recruiting classes year after year under Kirby Smart. Going into the 2024 season, there are just 15 players on the roster from their 2022 recruiting cycle, where they signed 29 players that year. So 48% of their class has transferred out on the
Yes.
2022. So
That's right.
That's from a team that won 2 national titles back when we went back to back. These kids are looking for money to go elsewhere. I get it, but that's where we are now. All right, Brent. The people that are running the 12-team playoff, they kind of had a mock playoff. Want to tell us about it?
Yeah, the people in charge of the playoff meet on a regular basis, and one of the things they did recently was they kind of drew it up on the board. Let's put a mock 12-team tournament up here and see what we've got. Well, what they found out was that they're going to have way too many rematches if they're not careful. Now, again, you've only got 12 teams. You don't have 64 like you do in the NCAA, or 68 in the NCAA basketball tournament. So, and again, we don't know what they're going to do with the analytics and how this is going to work out. But that's something that they've got to be careful about. And what we mean by this is, let's just pretend you've got that Ohio State and Michigan meet at the end of the season. Well, there's a chance now that they could meet again in the championship game. Well, what you don't want is, do you, Shane, is Ohio State, Michigan meeting for a third time in the opening round of the playoffs. Now, that probably is not going to happen the way they're going to be seeded, but I'm just using that as an example. So this is something they've got to work on and do what they can to keep from having first round rematches. So a lot of that, look, it's great ideas, but it's still got to be worked out. And we are still, and I'm telling you, I think we've got really momentum. We're going to have 12 this year, 12 next year, and in 26, we're either going to 14 or 16 almost immediately.
Yeah. You know, the whole rematch thing, I get it, Brent. But if you look at the National Football League, there are rematches all the time throughout their playoff system. And I know there's more teams. We're talking about a lot more teams, but it's going to be about the amount of teams. There's going to be about 30 teams that have an opportunity year in and year out to make that playoff. So I think you're going to see a lot of rematches. Christopher on YouTube, brought to you by Quality Plum, says, any word on the offensive lineman from USC and wide receiver from Arizona State in the portal? Both have visited Florida. I'm not. I can try to get somebody on tomorrow that follows recruiting. Remember, people, just because they visit here and they sign elsewhere does not mean that we did not put forth a huge effort to get them. Again, their credits may not transfer to the University of Florida. Was one. B, they may get offered more money from another school. So don't get all upset if they don't come here. And so all right, Shelvin says, someone tell our men's teams to take cue from our ladies softball team on knowing how to beat a rival. The last 2 softball games have been amazing. Yeah, they've played well. Brent, what is the latest on Florida State with the ACC?
Well, they have, what I understand, more behind the scenes, they're still progressing to get out. They are working on, and I've been mentioning this for a while. I think what's really going on with this is all the attorneys are working on an exit strategy so that the ACC can get some money and that Florida State can keep from spending $500 million to get out. So that's kind of where we are with this. I still think they're going to the Big Ten now, but what's coming down and going to be crucial is, see, they've got to let the ACC know, and they've got to make it official by the middle of August, that they are leaving, or they will be stuck in the ACC longer. So that's the thing we're looking at is August or before that they make some kind of official announcement that they have got this done. So there are a lot of people who think that the sooner they can compromise and get this done, that's going to work. Still think Clemson and North Carolina will be the next to leave after Florida State. But Florida State's going to be the first. That's going to probably be announced this year, and they will be out of the ACC. So that will be in 2025, certainly at least by 2026.
Comfort is our business. Peace of mind is our promise. Receive 1 year of our preventative maintenance plan for free with every scheduled full home duct cleaning. That's our good friends at Comfort Tent. We got Brent Beaird on the Titan MR hotline. Brent, the draft is over. The SEC dominated once again, but I think the surprise has to be what the Pac-12 players did.
Yeah, it really was. Just amazing. The SEC 59 and then the Pac-12 was second. The amazing thing about the Pac-12 was they had maybe their best year in decades this past season, and then you've got the Pac-12 doing as well as it did in the draft. So that was just amazing. So that there are a lot of numbers out there about which conference is the best, and the SEC does. And then there's some people who put it together, which conferences, how would it look with Texas and Oklahoma added in there too. So a lot of interesting numbers that are out there, but the SEC again dominated the draft.
Andy's question for you, Brent, on Facebook Live, brought to you by Mellon Law. How telling of the Dan Mullen era is the fact that the Gators only had one player in the NFL draft selected, and he was a transfer. Talking about Tyron Hopper transferred to Missouri and was drafted, I think, 3rd or 4th round.
Yeah, correct. Yeah. Oh, I think it was very telling. I mean, that's something we have talked about for quite some time. Look, Mullen's a good ball coach as far as drawing up plays, coaching the quarterback. I mean, he has success at Mississippi State, and he deserves his due for that. But Dan really struggled as a recruiter, and it showed. So unfortunately, Florida's paying the price for that. And again, that's just another thing that Billy Napier is having to overcome at Florida, and people need to understand when he got there how difficult that is. Now, Napier and the staff aren't perfect; they're still learning with game day administration and so forth. But that's one thing that can't be overlooked is how poorly that Dan Mullen recruited.
Yeah. Speaking of the draft, before we move on, there were some Power 5 schools that did not have a player chosen, which is some of these schools are hard to believe.
Yeah. Well, I think I think the school that continues to struggle the way they did and the way they have is Nebraska. I mean, Georgia Tech, Virginia Tech, Syracuse, Oklahoma State is frankly unbelievable too. Baylor, Northwestern, Nebraska, Arizona State. So no, I mean, not. I mean, we knew Vanderbilt would be in that situation, but boy, Shane, is there anything like a school like Nebraska that tells how poorly they have done over the last few years is not have any draft picks?
Yeah, pretty bizarre. Somebody on here said hire Dan Mullen to coach up the QBs. Quarterback ain't been our problem there.
No, it's not.
Quarterback's not your problem. All right, so there's been some long active NFL draft streaks. I know people like these streaks for whatever reason. I know our fans do. I don't know what they mean. but want to tell us about them?
Yeah, I mean, there are just some things that really get your attention here. It's amazing with the draft. Um, Michigan, Southern Cal have had a streak since the late 30s. You've got Florida since 52, Miami since 75, Notre Dame and Iowa since 78, Wisconsin since 79. I mean, look, that is something to be proud of, certainly for schools. Certainly says you've got a lot of talent. But, frankly, Shane, when you think about that, that really is amazing how schools are able to continue this streak.
Yeah. Dan says Mullen came too early because he could have been just paying players nowadays and not have to really recruit. That is a good point.
It is
Barone on Facebook Live, excuse me, on YouTube, brought to you by Quality Plumbing, says, why did Napier run Hopper off when Florida had no better option? Same for Josh Brom. Uh, I don't think they ran them off. I think people, when there's coaching changes, there's relationships with those coaches, and then when they're not here anymore, sometimes kids want to try something new. Hopper went to Missouri to play with his cousin or his brother or something.
Right.
That's why Hopper went to Missouri.
Sure.
Josh Braun, whether he fit into their plans or not, I don't know, but I wouldn't say they ran them off. You got to remember these kids they make their choices of what they do. Real quick, Silverback Concrete builds firm foundations for generations. You stand on it, we stand by it. We got a little more time here with Brent Beaird, college football analyst and Heisman Trophy voter. Brent, let's go around the league. Alabama, obviously, they had a bunch of people. Well, first of all, before we go to Alabama, Arizona State has my man Jeff Sims. Look, y'all have talked multiple times about I've talked multiple times about Jeff Sims. I don't know how he's still playing college football, but he's played at Nebraska, turned it over a million times, Georgia Tech a million times. Now he's going to be at Arizona State. Your thoughts, Brent?
Well, I agree. I mean, Jeff Sims is from Jacksonville. We covered him here, but it just is not worked out. And Shane hit it, frankly, and that's what happened with Nebraska. Now look, Sims is capable of making a really good play and then turn right around and then give the ball up on a turnover. So the reality is, I mean, I know he's got, some stats that are decent, but again, and Shane knows this better than anybody, is if you're the quarterback and you keep turning the ball over, and that happens everywhere you go, that is a continued problem that I don't know if he can get through that at this point in his career.
Yeah. Tim says, Dan coached up Alex Smith, Dak Prescott, and Tim Tebow. We have Mertz. Mertz is damn good, Tim. I don't know what you look at or what you watch.
He's
an excellent quarterback. He's one of the top 10 in America.
No question.
And let's not forget, Dan did not recruit Tebow. That was all Urban. So, but anyway, people can have their thoughts, but Mertz is outstanding. All right, back to Alabama. I want to get your thoughts. We haven't talked to you since the draft ended. I thought Nick Saban was just fascinating and outstanding doing what he did during the draft. Alabama had a bunch of kids go in the draft again. Just your thoughts on Bama.
Yeah, real quick. I thought Saban was tremendous. He is really going to elevate game day in the fall. He is. I mean, look, he's either coached most of these guys or played against or coached against them at some point. So, tremendous job. Eli Pritchett, one of their offensive linemen, has been arrested a couple of times within the last few months. He was speeding the other day, so they've got to be able to deal with that. Also, Tony Mitchell, sophomore safety, is transferring. He is in the portal. But they're happy with Kalen DeBoer. They're I think the fans, media, the players have all been impressed so far. But again, you got to remember we haven't played a game yet.
This stat that you have here about the Auburn Tigers, is eye-opening.
Yeah. Yeah. There's no doubt about that. The Auburn's last win versus a Power 5 team that finished with the winning record came against Ole Miss in October 30th of 2021. Since then, Auburn has lost 17 matchups like that in a row. And that's from Saturday Down South and Conor O'Gara. But that gives you a snapshot of kind of where they've been. And people need to remember when Gus Malzahn was at Auburn, he averaged 4 or 5 losses a year. And then when Brian Harsin was there, obviously wasn't any better. So they are hoping for better things with Hugh Freeze.
Yeah, it's really remarkable when I'm not going to compare Auburn and Florida, but from a talent standpoint, both these teams used to just have dudes.
Yes.
Take the wins and losses out. There were dudes.
Correct.
Neither one of them had dudes the last 3 or 4 years. We'll see if Hugh Freeze can get them back. All right. What can you tell us about the Mighty Gators?
Well, we talked about Tyrone Hopper in that situation as far as where that is going. Look, I'm with you on Graham Mertz, and the thing we're going to find is, and I'll say this clearly before all the magazines come out, you're going to find Graham Mertz among the top, I would say easily the top 3 quarterbacks in the league. I think he's that well thought of in as far as how good that he is, and I do hope, Shane, at some point people appreciate that.
Yeah, I agree. Speaking of quarterback play, I saw this and I screenshot it. This is from On3 Sports talking about the teams that have the top 10 quarterback tandems in their room
Right.
or on their team.
Yes.
I think 7 or 8 of the top 10 are in the SEC. You got Texas at 1 with obviously Ewers and Manning. You got Ohio State. I don't even know who their quarterbacks are. You got Oregon, Georgia at 4, Bama at 5, Notre Dame at 6, Ole Miss at 7, LSU at 8, Florida at 9, Texas A&M at 10. So take that for what it's worth.
Yes.
Live a healthier lifestyle with bold, flavorful smoothies and our amazing food. Tropical Smoothie. When you eat better, you feel better. All right. What can we talk about Kentucky?
Well, Kentucky still feels that that this is going to be a better year. Now, Liam Cohen, their offense coordinator, is gone, and they're hoping to stabilize that situation a lot better. Obviously, the Georgia transfer is at Kentucky at quarterback. What's interesting here, at one point, they had 4 guys who were drafted, and this is a 4th time in 6 years that Kentucky has had at least 4 players chosen. I will still say, now look, are they going to win the national championship? No. The SEC? No. But, and I'm curious what you think, but what Mark Stoops has done is he has given them at least a level that they are. This is a competent football team. I mean, they can win 7 or 8, maybe in a rare year, 9 games a year, sometimes even double digits. But I still say if he stays there a few more years, Shane, they may have a statue of Stoops somewhere outside that stadium one day.
Yeah, Kentucky. I mean, look, I was joking with Heath Klein yesterday on the program. Doring has been all over Kentucky the last 5 years. It feels like he picks them to
really
to win the East every year. He's probably off that now, but they've changed offense coordinators so much. It seems like they have a different quarterback through the portal, which they do. They got Brock Vandergriff from Georgia, which he was highly recruited.
Yes,
but we've never seen him play. So I don't know if he's worth a darn or not. But Kentucky's a team that they give us problems. I think about it. I'm like, why do they give us problems? We have to beat them this year. It's that simple. I don't know how else to put it.
Yeah.
Got to find a way to do it. What's going on in Baton Rouge?
Well, they are trying to get the interior defensive line rebuilt, and they've got Bo Davis from Texas, who is one of the better, if not the best, defensive line coach in the nation. So that's something that they've got to shore up. Now, talking with an LSU beat writer this week, that's basically what he said. He said the defense was abysmal last year. He said they've got better coaches, but they necessarily don't have better players this year. So the thing we've seen with LSU is an outstanding offense and a defense that's average to poor. And we may see that this year, but help is on the way for them. And one thing you mentioned a minute ago, I want to follow back up on, Shane. People may be interested in this at Georgia. Kirby Smart's had 33 players drafted in the last 3 years. Doesn't take long to do the math. I mean, that's amazing because when you go to Georgia, if you're a scout, you know that there are going to be double-digit players drafted every year. And to your point a few minutes ago about Georgia having lost a lot of their recruits, some of that is that these guys are going to the NFL en masse.
Yep, they really are. Barone says, looking at the Florida schedule and competing starting quarterbacks, only Georgia and Ole Miss have better or more proven starters. Tennessee and Miami are awash right now with Mertz. I would put Mertz above the Tennessee quarterback. I mean, he's going to be I guess he'd be a sophomore. I don't know if they consider him a freshman.
Will.
Yes. Cam Ward's an athletic guy that can make plays, but I wouldn't. He's not a consistent player. We'll see. The Oklahoma Sooners. I can't wait to watch Oklahoma and Texas this year, Brent. We know Texas made a run last year. Oklahoma was a little down. They've been down last couple years. But like he brought up a good point yesterday that I think we all just kind of overlooked it. They're not used to the week in and week out of an SEC schedule.
They're not.
You know, they have 1 or 2 games a year in their conference that's tough. But when you have to play Georgia, an LSU, and Arkansas back to back to back, it wears on you.
It does. Well, see, here's the other issue, too, is what Oklahoma is not used to is that the SEC has, or look, skill positions aside, the SEC is still a line of scrimmage league. And one thing that's going on with Oklahoma is they're going to have to replace all 5 starters on the offensive line. I don't care who you are, that's a challenge. So one of the things they're going to have to find out real quick is how good they are and can they match up with the offensive line and the defensive line with these SEC teams. So, Shane, I'm guessing if you're coming into the league for the first time, what you don't need is having to rebuild your entire offensive line.
That is so true. The Rebels, they get a bunch of transfers, but they lose a bunch of transfers as well.
Well, they do. Oh, yeah. Yeah, one of their cornerbacks, Amarian Walker, he went from Ole Miss to Michigan and is going to be back in the portal again. So the problem is the more and more guys go in the portal, the more and more that they're going to have issues. Look, this might be a nugget, but I'm going to go ahead and throw it in here anyway. It's pretty funny, but a lot of us, when we watched Mississippi State basketball last year, they've got a guy, Shane, who is 6'10", 280. Now, he transferred from West Virginia, and his name is Jimmy Bell. Well, when you're looking at Bell, a lot of people, including myself, made the statement, but probably more to friends than anybody else, gee, he looks like he could play on the football team. Well, what's funny about this is Bell at 6'10", 280 has exhausted his basketball eligibility. So, Shane, believe it or not, he's going to try out this year for the football team.
At Mississippi State?
Yeah.
Well, I mean, I'm not again. I mean, there's a bunch of tight ends that have had success doing that.
Oh,
The
yeah.
only problem, he's at the wrong school with the offense that they're going to run now. They
That's
don't
a good
even
point.
really play with a tight end.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. Now, I don't know. Now, the note here says he's looking to contribute on the offensive line.
Oh,
Well, I mean, obviously, when you're 6'10", 280, you can do that. But and look, people need to Google this kid. He is just mammoth, and a really muscular guy. But I just thought that was very amusing, having watching them play basketball this year and just thinking, boy, that guy would be great on the football team.
yeah, maybe rush defensive end. What's going on
Yeah.
up in Knoxville with the Volunteers?
They've had a good spring, and to show you that, they announced yesterday that they have sold out all 70,500 season tickets for Neyland. And they've got 15,000 on the waiting list. So one thing that I give Josh Heupel credit for is they've certainly got a lot of attention back on the program. And this is interesting too, since Heupel was hired at Tennessee, they've had 13 players taken in the draft over the last 3 years. That is the most players taken over a 3-year period since 06 through 08.
Wow.
So, I mean, look, you call those games. They are a better program. I mean, are they where they want to be? No, but Heupel has got that program going in the right direction. Still think they've got to be better defensively, Shane, than what they are. As you remember last year's game, but they are making progress. So give them credit for that.
Yeah, just that number of drafted players is shocking again, because if you go back to the 90s, and I don't like to go back and say back in the day, but they had NFL dudes everywhere in the
it was
90s.
Unbelievable. It really was. Yes.
Yeah. Baron says on YouTube, brought to you by Quality Plumbing, though LSU looks really good, everyone is talking about Ole Miss and they are going to be good, but I can see LSU back in the SEC title game against Georgia. Don't forget, Baron, there is no East and West this year, if I'm not mistaken.
Right.
The top two teams that have the best record. So it could be Georgia playing Florida for the SEC title, or it could be Alabama playing Texas. It's just, what is it, 16 teams?
Yeah.
And the top two teams are going to play in Atlanta. So there is no more East and West. I am correct about that, Brent, right?
Yeah. Yes, you're correct. Yeah.
Okay.
There is no more East and West. But in fairness, and I hear him. That's something we're going to have to get used to. Our minds still work that way because it's been that way since 1992. So that is going to be different. Look, I agree with him. I think LSU is going to be better, but they're not going to be better this year because the guys who cover them every day would tell you they just don't have the defense yet to win a championship.
Yeah. Russell says he just started listening. He's not sure if it's been covered. This is on YouTube, brought to you by Quality Plum. But I read that the ASU wide receiver did not pass his physical. It's possible. It happens. All right, Brent, before we get you out here and get some nuggets, let's talk about the two ACC teams that are opponents of the Gators. There's some sad news this past week or last couple of days out of Tallahassee with former quarterback Marcus Allison.
Yeah, I was really sad to hear that. Certainly prayers go to his family and friends. But yes, I think that helped me, Shane. I think that came out yesterday. But look, in his day, he made an impact, and Bobby Bowden was very proud of how he played. But no, I agree with you. That's very, very, very sad to hear.
Yeah. Anything coming out of Coral Gables?
Well, they've been very busy in the transfer portal. They've got Damian Martinez, one of the better, but really the top available running back in the portal. Martinez from the Pac-12, or what used to be the Pac-12, is really very good. Sam Brown, a wide receiver, was one of the top wide receivers in the portal. Jalen Aldman at linebacker is one of the top linebackers in the portal. So they really did a good job in the portal the last few days. As Shane mentioned, they've obviously got Cam Ward. Now they are losing some guys. Savion Riley at safety is going into the portal. Ja'Cory Brown, as we thought he would, is committed to UCF. In that time, Marcellus Pullum, the linebacker, is in the portal. Thomas Gore, the defensive lineman, has entered the portal too. So I think they will be better. I'm not convinced that they're going to win the ACC or anything like that. I think Florida State will do that, but they made some good moves, and they will be more competitive this year.
So you think Florida State will be the preseason favorite to win the ACC over Clemson?
Probably. Again, a lot of that's going to depend on DJ Uiagalelei and how he plays, and his spring game wasn't really very good, to be honest with you, but I mean, he's got 40 starts, so he knows what he's doing. A lot of times it just he doesn't have enough touch on the ball, so they're hoping to get that going too. Clemson's problem is their offense has got to be much improved this year compared to what it was last year, and if that happens, that will make a difference. Cade Klubnik should be a better quarterback also. And Shane, we'll get into this on another day, but keep your eye on this. There were articles out this week about that we're closer to revenue sharing than we've ever been, and the SEC and the Big Ten are working on that. So that's almost too much to get into right now, but what they're trying to do is head off at the pass. They've got some big lawsuits they're trying to settle, like this House versus NCAA, and if they can do that, that's going to be a real plus for them. So, but look, you said this months ago, the college football is heading more and more and more toward an NFL model, and we almost see that now every day, don't we?
Yes, we do. Brent, before we get you out of here, text from George on the Titan Mark text line. He says, who is Brent's early Heisman favorite?
You know, we did that this week on the First Coast News here in Jacksonville, and Carson Beck was one of the guys that we have seen who could be, and so I will throw him in there. I'm not saying he's going to win it, but if he has a big year, but believe it or not, I mean, he's certainly going to be in the the top 5 or however they pare it down and make it to New York. Now you'll see some campaigns for guys like Cam Ward and Uiagalelei and some guys like that. But look, for what we've talked about, I'm not going to say Graham Mertz is going to win it, but I can tell you this. I think there's going to be a while with his numbers that people are going to be a lot more impressed with him than they realize. Nico Lamaliva at Tennessee will get a little bit of publicity to go along with that. Quinn Ewers from Texas, a lot of people like him and what he's going to do. And again, you know, it's just always become a quarterback award is what's happened. So I guess it's natural then to change when I'm asked that question to immediately go to the quarterbacks.
Yeah, for sure. Brent, good stuff as always, my friend. Have a great weekend, and we'll talk to you next week.
Always enjoy it, Shane. Take care, bud.
Yeah, that's Brent Beaird. Join us on the Titan More Hotline, courtesy of Comfort Temp. Take a quick time out, come back. Got a lot of texts and other things to get to. You're watching and listening to PodUp with Matthews in the Morning. We want to take this moment to thank our sponsors who keep the show going and pay the bills. Our premium sponsors are Crime Prevention Security Systems, large enough to serve you, small enough to care. Titan MRI, Gainesville's only locally owned and operated MRI facility. Meldon Law, the only official injury and accident law attorneys of the Florida Gators. Peachland Dental, Gator Nation's first choice for dentistry in Port Charlotte. QC Kinetics. Live pain-free with QC Kinetics. Campus USA. Put some star power to work in your financial life with Campus USA Credit Union.
Comfort Temp. Comfort is our business. Peace of mind is our promise.
Dave & Buster's. Eat, drink, play, watch. Radware, your local provider of promotional products, uniforms, and apparel. Our Gridiron sponsors are Auto ER, UF Bookstores, Silverback Concrete, Ruse Ogre State Farm Insurance, Radware, F45, Quality Plumbing. Our touchdown sponsors are Adams Ribs, Gator Dominoes, Celebrate Primary Care, Gator Bait Media, Okido America, Style Cuts, Ironwood Golf Course, Big Mills Cheesesteak, McDonald's of Gainesville, 84 Lumber, Dowling Signs, Baker's Sporting Goods. If you're interested in promoting your business on the show, call Freddie at 352-284-3733. If you like what we're doing here, make sure to follow us and support the businesses that support us.
Pro football legend Emmitt Smith understands your joint pain.
It does not surprise me that there are a ton of people out there that's in pain.
That's why Emmitt is such a proponent of QC Kinetics, offering real lasting joint pain relief with non-surgical, all-natural biologic treatments.
Whether it's a joint pain, ankle pain, shoulder pain, neck pain, back pain, hip pain, any kind of pain, the body eventually will break down when it's under that much stress.
That stress can cloud your judgment to the point that you'll just say yes to the scalpel or yes to another prescription of pain pills. But maybe it's time for a second opinion from QC Kinetics.
The reason why I would recommend this is because the natural biologics that QC Kinetics is providing you gives your body a chance to naturally heal itself.
Restorative, regenerative solutions are here. Get lasting relief and live your life.
Call QC Kinetics 352-400-4550. That's 352-400-4550. QC Kinetics 352-400-4550.
Welcome back to the Crime Prevention Security System Studios, large enough to serve you, small enough to care. Radware is a family-owned business that prides itself in excellent customer service while providing quality and affordable promotional products and customized apparel. I want to thank Brent Beaird for joining us on the Titan MR Hotline, courtesy of Comfort Temp. We got a couple of texts here on the Titan MR text line. This one is from Benjamin in Largo. He says, where has JC been? JC's out on business. I don't know if he'll be here tomorrow or not. He'll definitely be back next week for sure. If you missed it last night, Lady Gator softball team blows a huge lead in the bottom of the seventh, a 6-run lead. Had the game ended. They could have ended it on a ground ball to Mia Williams. She booted it, and the floodgates opened up. They found a way to win it in extras. Huge game. They have a big series this weekend against A&M, who's one game ahead of them in SEC play. And then Gator baseball starts tonight. Tennessee, a Thursday, Friday, Saturday series. Big weekend in Gainesville for both softball and baseball. Softball sits really nice right now. Should host regional and super regional possibly. Toby says on Facebook Live brought to you by Mel. FSU football team has always had problems with NC State in the past. I think Grayson McCall is better QB than DJ Ugalele. I agree with that. Don't forget the Louisville Cardinals in year 2. They played FSU for the championship this year. Give Jeff Brom a year or two to get his players in there. Look out for them. I do not think FSU is going to win the ACC this year. I think they lost too many players. I don't know what all they've added. I don't follow them closely. But they have a huge difference at the quarterback position. I don't care what anybody says. You will not convince me that DJ can play up to the level of Jordan Travis. There's no way. No possible way. This Day in Sports brought to you by Campus USA Credit Union. Put some star power to work in your financial life at Campus USA Credit Union. The 2009, the 135th Kentucky Derby, Calvin Burrell wins aboard a 50-1 long shot. Mind that bird after running dead last until the final turn. So Kentucky Derby is this weekend. I know nothing about horse racing. I don't even know who the favorite is. But if you're into that and you're going to be putting on a seersucker suit and a big fancy hat, and your lady friend's going to have a big fancy bonnet on and a nice dress, enjoy it. A lot of people like getting dressed up for that. Have parties at their house or whatever. So Andy says on Facebook Live, what was your relationship like with Danny the 2 years you played with the Bears and Redskins? Oh, we have a great relationship. I think people are not. I was Danny's host when he came here on his visit for the entire weekend. Helped convince him to come play here. So Danny and I have been close for many, many years, and one of the nicest human beings you will ever meet, and has done a tremendous job with what he decided to do with Desire Street Ministry. And Danny's he loves pickleball now. He's into that. But we had a great relationship, and he is a good dude for sure. There's one other thing. There was another text. I can't find it. I got so many texts on here. I try to pick and choose which text to read because there's so many. This is one that I wanted to pick out. It's kind of taking a shot at Buddy. William says, what does Buddy think of our elite, in quotations, elite softball program now? Everybody's taking shots at Buddy because he doesn't think our softball team's elite. They are definitely elite. One of Tim's better teams, our young pitchers are struggling right now. I don't know if it's fatigue, but boy, this team finds ways to hit. Got some good players. It's a fun team to watch. I think they can make a deep run in the tournament this year for sure. So we'll see. Tonight in the NBA, if you missed it last night, the Celtics just destroyed the Heat, so they win the series. The Mavericks take a 3-2 lead over the Clippers. Tonight in Game 6, the Pacers are going to try to close out the Bucks. I don't think the Bucks 2 stars are going to play, so I would assume the Pacers win that. And then the 76ers, what a remarkable comeback. They've actually played pretty well and just have found ways to lose the game. They're at home trying to even up and go to a Game 7. And then your hockey, we talked about it yesterday. The Stars lead the Golden Knights now 3-2. I think they've won 3 straight. And the Oilers close out the Kings. Tonight in a great series, I know our man JC Deacon, the Gator golf coach, a huge Maple Leafs fan. They're at home. They're going to try to tie it up and go to Game 7. So hope everybody enjoyed today's program. We'll be back here tomorrow talking sports. Hopefully Gator baseball can find a way to win this evening. Have a great day, folks. Take care.